Welcome to the Rise Above show with Patricia Joe Grover, where we rise above our challenges and turn believers into achievers. I just want to take a moment and thank our sponsors, 133 Approved Funding, because they say yes when the bank says no. They've been able to help businesses keep their open, keep people employed. And for the people who are starting up new businesses, they have funding available for them, as well as their consumer financing that they do for people like Dr. Wendy Labat and myself, for people who are needing our services and need to actually have them financed so they're able to move forward. So for anybody who wants more information about that, you can reach out to me and I'll give you their information. But right now with me, I have Dr. Wendy Labat, and you may recognize her because she's been with us before, but she has fantastic information. So Dr. Wendy Labat is a financial healer. She's an award-winning entrepreneur and business strategist, international speaker, and a two-time best-selling author. She's the CEO of Financial Cures, LLC, and the creator of the Financial Cures System, which is trademarked. It's a results-based program for financial mastery. Dr. Labat is the producer and host of the global streaming production of Financial Cures with Dr. Wendy. She has her Doctor of Business Administration, a DBA, degree in entrepreneurship and over 37 years of experience as being an entrepreneur. She's going to talk to us today about optimizing your financial health. So welcome to the show, Dr. Wendy.
Thank you, Patty, for having me. I'm excited about being here. Thank you so much.
I know, we were chatting a little bit before we started recording about how exciting all the things that you're doing with your business, being able to help people and in so many different ways with their finances. So I can't wait to get into some questions with you.
Okay, well, first thing I'd like to just say again, thank you. And I want to just kind of start off with, the fact that people focus on mental health, they focus on physical health, but there is very little emphasis on financial health. True. And people confuse and conflate financial literacy with financial health. But the problem with that is you can be financially literate and still have poor financial health. Matter of fact, you even have terminal financial health, which a lot of people do. So, people are suffering from what I call anorexic income, mindset and knowledge deficiency, overweight expenses, obese debt, spending addiction, and other financial ills. So I try to heal them or really, relieve those kind of symptoms to help them, optimize their financial health.
Oh, and these are all the way that you have these and the terms they're using helps put it in the frame set that most people can really understand. It makes it easier for them and not seem so overwhelmed, I think. So, Dr. Wendy, why do you think that most people struggle with their finances?
Well, the main reason that I found is because of their mindset, and that's not just with finances, but that's with it. If you're trying to lose weight, beat an addiction, or whatever you're trying to do, you have to have the right mindset. You can't want a rich man's wealth and have a poor man's, mindset. That happens with a lot of people that win the lottery or some of the athletes that, get drafted out of high school. They don't have the exposure or experience with that level of finance. So, they end up not doing well. And another thing is knowledge deficiency. They don't know some of the basics, about like how money works and how to make money work for them. So those, I think, are the two key. I put them under my first obstacle, but it's a dual arm. It's, the mindset and then the knowledge, because you got to have both. You don't have to have a PhD or a doctorate degree, but you got to know some basic stuff about finances. So I think that's one of the main reasons.
Right. And so true. So can you share some tips that fall under those categories to help people or maybe a story even?
I can, as far as the mindset, I like to use this particular quote by Mark Dyer saying, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So on and you automatically say, I can't afford it, then you can't. But if you say, how can I afford it? Then you're going to think outside the box and find ways where you can afford it. And that, I think that's the key thing. You got to get your thinking right, because if you don't think right and speak right and do right, things aren't going to go right. That's, one of the main things. And then you have to have a certain level of discipline. You have to uh, be able to, and what I tell my clients to do is choose or ask yourself, if you're looking to buy something or do something, is this going to impact what I want more, or is it just something I want now? Now, if it's something that's going to impact what you want more, then you better think twice about it. And if it's something you just want now, you can't just go for instant gratification. You got to look at the long term, the long game, because that's where you want to be financially, is looking at the long game. I mean, you could be fine now, but is that purchase going to cost you, your end game? So those are some of the things that I, recommend.
Oh, those are great points to make there. And you are right, Dr. Wendy. So many things have to do with our mindset and having that positive and knowing exactly what it is you want.
And one of the key things is not only knowing what you want, but know where you are now. People need to take control of their finances, but in order to do that, you have to diagnose your financial health, which is, what my first book is about, because you have to know where you are. You have to know which one of those symptoms I mentioned before do you have. Is your income anorexic? I end up having my clients to do a spending challenge, and you have to put it in writing. You put in your income, your expenses, and then track your spending, because the spending is where all that money is that you can afford to buy what it is you say you can't afford to buy. And it helps you redirect those funds to, help you implement and achieve your financial goals. So if people just have to, and then another thing is they have to look at income as not just your paycheck and your retirement or whatever those traditional sources are. It's that residual and passive income. It's those stimulus checks you got. It's that tax refund you get. It's the dividends you get from your, investments, income that you need to factor into your, financial planning, because that money means something. And expenses are not just your monthly bills. You have to distinguish your expenses from your debt, because even though you pay something monthly, your expenses are going to come back around. Your things like your utility bills, insurance, things that if you pay it off now, it's going to still roll around next month. But debt is something that you pay off, then that's it. Like your car note, your mortgage, or, personal loans, things like that are limited by the time, constraint, or not constraints, but say your mortgage, you're going to pay that 15, 30 years. At the end of that period, it's over. Car note, same thing, credit card debt. You have to have the discipline, but if you don't, you better pay it off within a certain amount of time, and then it's over. And those are the things you really have to distinguish, And then another thing you have to distinguish is between your wants and your needs. People think they need Starbucks coffee every day, but it's really a want, and they think they got to eat out at lunch every day, or eat out at dinner, or eat out 3-4 times a week, but that's a want. So those funds that you're spending in that area, in those areas, are funds that can be redirected to build your, your reserve fund, or pay off some debt. So, it's important to, have the right, again, mindset, but be able to look at it on paper, because what you see in your mind isn't always what the real deal is.
that is so true. That is so true. And Dr. Wendy, when you say about digging down really deep to find out where you are, I do that with the clients that I work with different, not in the financial
Mhm.
realm, but with everything else that I work with. But it is also for many people, it's for them to be honest with themselves.
Yes.
It is. And when it comes to finances, they have to be honest with themselves if they're going to make a difference with that, for sure.
That's for sure. Because, and putting it on paper, I just finished my master class, and I had, several, pretty well off people in the class. And, I gave them the spending challenge, and every week they had to got a report, what did they discover? And all of them said that they didn't realize that they were spending what they were spending. They figured what they thought their financial picture was as far as, income and expenses. When they put it on paper, it was a totally different thing. So it really helped them get a real diagnosis of their financial health so that they could really understand where they need to redirect funds. So putting it on paper does kind of slap you in the face.
Yes, it does. And I'll be honest, I'll fess up, Dr. Wendy. One time my husband and I, we did that, and we realized that we were spending $3,000 a month going out to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my goodness, that was an eye opener right there. And it really, it sneaks up on you because you just don't realize it. You're just going, and it's just part of your everyday life. So you really aren't thinking, but when you have it down on paper like that, it does make a big difference.
That's true. And my husband and I just celebrated our 30th anniversary last month. And then, we celebrated Father's Day, 2 different dinners. And, like I said, I love my husband. He's a great father. So, my kids, I say kids, but they're grown. But they, were with us. We were on vacation. And I spent like $350 on that dinner. And, it kind of, my mindset is like, damn, $350 for food, but it was a special occasion. And then on our anniversary, I spent another $250 for just him and I. But we ate at really nice restaurants.
Right.
But just the thought of spending that kind of money. But it was special. My husband, I love him. 30 years. He's my rock. He's been there. I like him and love him. So that's a big thing. And, but it took me a minute to kind of get over that, it wasn't that I couldn't afford it,
right.
But it's just that my mindset is so transitioned to where that was, something I normally wouldn't do. So
exactly. And there's a difference between it just happening and when you plan for it
and
put it into your budget. Yeah. So
sure.
Dr. Wendy, what are some obstacles that people face that prevent them from optimizing their financial health?
Well, we talked about the mindset and the, knowledge or deficiency of knowledge. And we talked about taking control over your finances. Now, one of the other obstacles is proper protection. Now, my story, I'm a cancer conqueror, and I had expanded my business to include insurance and financial services. So when I got diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer, my chemotherapy bills I had to get chemo every 3 weeks for a year. And the infusion alone was $67,000 every 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, that's expensive. But then I did an anthology, and the editor said, well, calculate that out. And this was the first time I had actually calculated it out. And it came in like to $1.1 million. And I'm still shuddered when I think of that. Can you imagine having to pay that, out of your pocket? And also I had 5 surgeries and all the scans and labs and everything that goes with, conquering breast cancer. And that totaled to over $300,000. So I would have ended up paying almost $1.5 million in medical bills, in addition to my personal and business expenses. So that could have ruined me financially. But thank God I practiced what I preached. And when I got all the coverage I had, I did it from a business and marketing strategy instead of a personal financial planning position. And, like I said, when it came down to it, all those medical bills were paid. And when I looked at what I had, those supplemental coverages, I got multiple 6-figure tax-free shots in the arm, financial shots in the arm that allowed me to focus on my recovery and not worry about money. So that's how I became the financial healer,
Right.
because I was okay with, I said, okay, Lord, I'm, happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm in my comfort zone, I'm good. But he said, no, you're going to go on a crusade to empower other people. So that proper protection is key, because people will insure their cars, they insure the cell phones, they insure jewelry and everything else, but they don't want to make ensuring their health and life a priority. So, that's one of the obstacles. Another one is tax laws and tax codes. And we don't realize how that impacts us until it's tax time. And even then, we don't plan for it or strategize for it. We just take whatever the tax preparer or accountant says you owe or you're going to get back. But, I'm in the tax business, so I make sure that my clients have a strategy to improve their position, whether it be to get them a higher refund or, lower tax liability, but also help them with the tax codes like, your 401k, 403bs, IRAs. Those are tax codes, and you have to understand how they work and strategize the best for your situation. And then income tax is a tax law. You have to understand how to, minimize the income taxes. So those are things that that's an obstacle for a lot of folks. And then I would say the global economic impact. We see from COVID, not only was it a health impact, but it was a global economic impact. And we have to see how to, a lot of people really suffered because they had a six-figure salary in 2019, but in 2020, they lost and had to go to unemployment. But then there are a lot of us who were able to pivot or evolve to a better situation, which thank God I was one of them. And you were one of them, because, we are out here empowering people. So, another very important one is taking action. That's one of the biggest obstacles that people have. They may have the mindset, they may, have the knowledge and proper protection, but they don't take action. They want to get to the next level, but they just want it. They don't do it. So they don't.
Exactly, and that's huge.
So that's the thing. So out of the 6 obstacles, I would say the most important one is the mindset and knowledge and the action taken, and everything else kind of falls in between. But, those are the main obstacles that people face.
Right. And when it goes back to Dr. Wendy, when some of the things you were saying, the tax codes and all these things, to many of us, that is all sounds like foreign language. It's garbled, like we just don't, and it seems scary, and we don't, it's like, oh, I don't even want to know about it.
Yeah.
It's just whatever. So going to someone and a professional that has those answers, and that, that's why you're there, because you can help people make the most positive impact in their choices and decisions with what they do with that, which will affect their income.
That's true. That's
financially, whether it's income that you have coming in or what you have left after you've paid everything, it's still what you have for that value. So, so true, Wendy. So what recommendations can you make to get folks started to improve their finances and to take that action?
Well, the first thing is I want to challenge your audience to take my spending challenge. So get your an envelope or get you a journal and, write down all of your income sources, not just your regular pay or your retirement, but look at those dividends. Even if you get $2, because I know banks aren't paying a whole lot, but even if you get $2 a month or whatever, put it down, include it into your income column, because, that's money you have to work with. List your expenses, but break it down by expenses like utilities that are going to roll back around every month, even if you pay it off, and debt, which is once you pay it off, then, it's gone, because you have another strategy to eliminate that. But track your spending. That's the most important area. I don't care if you buy a stick of gum, you write down what it is you spent. How much, did you pay for it with a debit card, credit card, cash? Because that's important, because if you pay cash or then you kind of see it going out. Debit card, you kind of see it, but you don't really notice it until your statement comes in. Credit cards, you don't even realize it until after if you don't pay your credit card off every month, that little dollars pack of gum will end up costing you $4 or $5 if you let it linger on. So you want to track your spending. And at the end of a period, whether it be every day, every week, or every month, you want to tally up those columns. And with the spending, you want to look at whether it's a want or a need. When you buy that stick of gum or that Starbucks coffee, check, is that a need or a want? You want to distinguish those two, because when you tally it up, when you look at the wants and you see that you spent $3,000 on eating out, you're like, hey, I need to redirect those funds, because you don't really know it unless you see it on paper, or whether it be in your credit card statement, your bank statement, or whatever. You want to track that. So that's the first step in diagnosing your financial health, because you'll get a realistic picture of where you are. And that's the first thing. The second thing I want to recommend is that you join all the loyalty and rewards programs for every product you buy, every store you go in, every, gas station you use. They all have rewards and loyalty points. I want you to make sure you're a member of all and use it. Don't just be a member and not use it. Because there's sometimes I go in the store and the people ahead of me, especially guys, they'll be checking out in the store, the grocery store especially, and they'll say, well, do you have a rewards card? Well, yeah, but no. But they said, well, do you want to use it? And they said, no. I said, well, can I put mine in? And a lot of times they'll let you do it. And I'll put my number in and get their points, because that rewards you with cash, with products, with points that you can redeem for cash or gift cards. You want to take advantage of those things. And do I have time for a quick story?
Sure, you sure do,
Okay.
Dr. Wendy.
Well, I'm going to talk about the fact that I use points. I'm points for everything, loyalty for everything. Now, I went to a 7-night conference in Chicago, and I'm a Southwest person. I got the points, I got the credit card, and I'm also a Marriott person. I've got the points, the credit card. I'm titanium elite status, and I needed to go to Chicago round trip, and I don't like stopping anywhere. So I wanted a round trip ticket, nonstop, from Atlanta to Chicago at a certain date and time. So in order for me to get that ticket, it would have cost me $500 if I would have paid cash for it or paid for it. So I had enough points to be able to redeem to get that ticket. And that $500 ticket cost me $11.20 because I had enough points. Now, when I got to Chicago, before I got to Chicago, I made reservations at a full service Marriott, not a Fairfield Inn, a Courtyard, or none of that. It was a full service Marriott. And I used my points, and I, know how it works. I got the cheapest points, the lowest points for those 7 nights. And when I got there, they upgraded me to a suite because of my titanium elite status. So when they upgraded me to the suite, that would have cost me $550 a night had I had to pay for it. So being a part of the titanium elite level, you get to eat in the club room, which means for breakfast, I was having, fresh pastries, smoked salmon, fresh fruit, all the fancy coffees and water and all that would have cost me over $50 had I eaten that same meal in the full service, restaurant downstairs. And also in the evening, they had hors d'oeuvres and drinks, wine and stuff like that, which would have cost me, again, about $50 if I would have eaten that stuff downstairs. So that whole trip with the airfare and the hotel would have cost me about $5,000. But because I had my points, I only ended up paying $11.20. And I don't know about you, but I was able to do something with that $5,000.
Yeah, so that's a mind blown. That's huge amounts. We're talking huge amounts of savings. Oh my goodness, I can't. That's unreal. But that's not going to happen for everybody. Not that much savings, but still, you got to start somewhere. And what a story, Dr. Wendy. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But even if you save $25 on a tank of gas, or $100 or $10, no matter what it is, it's money that you're saving. It's money that's working for you. And when you spend your money, you're getting rewarded. So those rewards help you reduce the amount of money that you're going to put out. So it's always best to do it. I mean, I can't do it any other way. That's why
And that's fantastic. So thank you for sharing that story. And oh, Dr. Wendy, again, you shared so much information. So do you have, you gave our viewers and listeners some little tips and a little gift, but can you tell them where they can find anything else from you that you want to give as a gift, and where they can find information about you in general, your website?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you my website, thefinancialcures.com, and I'm going to give everybody a gift. If you text the word guide, GUIDE, to 770-796-4944, you'll get my complimentary guide to overcoming the obstacles to winning the money game. So it'll give you some of the tips I mentioned, and get you on board to trying to change your mindset, because you need to transform it. That's the first step, and this will help you. So again, text the word guide, GUIDE, to 770-796-4944, and go to my website, thefinancialcures.com. I have my it's not my new book, it's my first book, Diagnose Your Financial Health, which I don't know if everybody can see it,
I
but
have a copy of that.
and I'm working on book number 2, which is Optimize Your Financial Health, which is coming out late August. So hopefully you'll get some good tidbits. They're easy reads, not complicated, not all, complicated words or anything like that. It's very simple and easy to read, easy to use, and easy to implement. So I hope everybody, got something today.
Oh, wonderful, Dr. Wendy. So happy to have you with us. And thank you again. For anyone who'd like to find out more about me, Patricia Jo Grover, the Goal Achievement Strategist, you can go to my website, patriciajogrover.com. And I have gifts for all the viewers and listeners if you want to text the word GOAL, GOAL, to 26786. Again, it's been wonderful having you. I look forward to having you back with us. And
Thank
I
you.
have a little video to follow behind. Have a wonderful day.